Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a deeply powerful, honestly kind of intense framework about surviving life's absolute lowest points. We're going to explore how hitting rock bottom doesn't just have to be a period of endless suffering, but can actually trigger a complete, life-altering reset. It's a heavy topic, for sure, but it's an incredibly important one. So let's just dive right in. Okay, before we even try to map out the journey of some profound personal transformation, we've got to acknowledge exactly what it feels like to be at that absolute low. The framework uses a really evocative metaphor for this: the gutter. It's that place where you literally feel neither alive nor dead, just enduring. You know that suffocating feeling of being trapped, completely unable to escape, caught in this terrible limbo? It's just absolute exhaustion of both the body and the mind. Here is how we'll break this down today. First, defining the gutter. Then, the faces of adversity. Next, the edge of death, followed by looking up to the stars, and finally, executing a profound transformation. Let's start with Section 1, defining the gutter, and specifically the physical and mental trap it creates. So what does it actually mean to live in the gutter? We aren't just talking about a passing bad mood here. It is a structural trap. Picture a hostile environment characterized by darkness, dampness, foul odors, and awful pests like rodents, snakes, and cockroaches. When you're at rock bottom, the world just feels filthy and unwelcoming. It's like the environment itself is actively working against your survival and your peace of mind. But honestly, this goes way beyond physical squalor. It represents a brutal mental trap. It's paralyzing. You can't live well, yet you're unable to die. You're just stuck, enduring this continuous loop of profound suffering, where literally every single exit door appears to be locked tight. Moving on to Section 2, Faces of Adversity, or as the author puts it, have you experienced this? To really bring this home, the author asks if you've experienced relentless, localized torment. Like, have you faced local thugs who completely upend your life? We're talking about incredibly violating acts here: smashing your windows, screaming threats at your front door at midnight, smearing paint on your property. Living under that constant shadow of intimidation completely destroys your sense of safety. Or maybe your gutter looks like a sudden, catastrophic fall from grace. Imagine having a home once filled with esteemed guests. You were spirited, ambitious, people listened to you. And then, sudden ruin. You become a prisoner, your possessions are taken. And honestly, the most painful part, your closest friends, even the ones you helped, just scatter. You're left entirely alone, and no one is coming to your rescue. And look, there are several other devastating paths that lead straight into the dark. Think about the crushing weight of crippling unemployment and poverty when you have a family to feed. Or the deep despair of wandering homeless. What about perilous journeys seeking a better life, only to face exploitation? Or the profound pain of deep betrayal by someone you really trusted, who just empties your pockets and sabotages your career? Or maybe you just fell into a deceptive trap that promised success, but locked you in a conspiracy with absolutely no way out. The thing is, the gutter doesn't look exactly the same for everyone. But if you find yourself deeply trapped by any of these crushing circumstances, poverty, betrayal, ruin, harassment, you are, without a doubt, in the gutter. You are at the absolute bottom. Which brings us to Section 3, the edge of death, the ultimate crisis point. You see, the suffering in the gutter isn't sustainable. It pushes a human being to their absolute limit. At this extreme low, the suffering becomes blinding. It's like standing on a cliff. Just one misstep, one final push of despair means plummeting straight into the abyss and bidding farewell to life altogether. To put this into a really sobering perspective, globally, roughly 1 million people lose their lives to suicide every single year. That is a staggering number. But the true scale of this crisis is actually much wider. While roughly 1 million succumb, another 10 to 20 million attempt it. This proves just how massive and shared this crisis is. Literally millions of people are standing right on that cliff's edge at this very moment. Now, Section 4, looking up to the stars, the antidote to the gutter. When you're down in the gutter, your natural instinct is to engage with it, right? You want to complain about the smell, compromise with the pests, maybe even collude with the darkness just to survive. But the antidote requires a complete reset. It means utterly refusing to engage with the dirt around you. Instead, you have to lock your sights upward and transcend the ordinary. And here is a totally fascinating paradox. Stripped of everything, Standing on that literal cliff of death, you actually have the absolute best opportunity for a profound transformation. Why? Because when everything is completely broken, your foundation is finally clear for a real rebuild. Which leads us to our final section, a profound transformation, and how to execute a complete reset. The framework lays out a pretty radical 4-step process. Step 1, physically and mentally set your sights upward to the stars. Step 2 is super crucial. Stop complaining about your current state. Do not waste a single ounce of energy fighting the gutter on its own terms. Step 3, completely wipe out your past perspectives. And Step 4, replace them entirely with a brand new worldview. Let's think about Step 3 for a second, because it's massive. What exactly needs to be wiped out? Your past perspectives on life, your past values, your past beliefs, basically your entire past worldview. The logic here is piercingly clear. The belief system you held onto before is exactly what brought you to the edge. Since you're already on that cliff, you have absolutely nothing left to lose by tossing out the mental framework that failed you. You've got to replace the old entirely with a fresh set of perspectives. Think about it. The old you is what got trapped in the darkness. A completely new you is required to walk out of it. You have to firmly and permanently sever ties with the exact mindset that kept you bound. Look, we all face moments where we feel trapped in our own version of the gutter, totally overwhelmed by the darkness and the unfairness of it all. The easy path is to complain and collude with that darkness. But the necessary path, the path of survival, is a total reset. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to reflect on today. What parts of your current worldview, what old beliefs and values do you need to wipe out right now so you can step back from the cliff and finally look up to the stars? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember, keep looking up.